1972, I was just out of college, not really gainfully employed. I was selling encyclopedias. Actually, I think I only sold one. Doing some freelance photography and just sort of managing to make ends meet as best I could. But my wife, Beverly, was a cocktail waitress at a country club called the Minnetonka Country Club in Minneapolis. She worked until 2 in the morning, and I would drive up the winding drive and park in the parking lot and wait for her to come down. And in the idle moments while I was waiting one night, I noticed that there was someone peering at me through this window. Our eyes sort of met. His hand came up into the frame and he waved to me, and so I waved back. That's the polite thing to do. And then he waved again, and so I waved one more time. And when he waved the third time, I decided this was a bit much and sort of looked the other way. The next night I was there again, and he was there again, waving, and I came to refer to him as the waver. My wife Beverly, however, told me his name was Bill, and that he was a pot scrubber and he cleaned the stoves at night.
His favorite way of introducing himself to people was getting you to make phone calls for him. And a lot of people would not do that. They just would push him away. And I was one of the people that would do that, so I became friends with Bill.
I didn't really meet Bill in person until that Christmas when there was a staff party, and I went with Bev.
Bill was sitting at a table, and he had his beetle wig on, and, it must have had about 17 cans of hairspray on it. It was just stiff as a board.
As I walked toward him, his eyes lit up. He jumped to his feet, he thrust out his hand, and he said, "Hey, buddy, my name's Bill."
It started out that Barry said he'd take him, to the store and do some things with him. And then that became a set routine because we couldn't say no to him either.
Good morning.
Hi, Bill.
Hi. How you doing?
Pretty good.
We get out to your wife.
Okay.
Something in there for her. How's she coming, huh?
Pretty good.
That's good.
Got your seatbelt on?
Oh, I gotta get that on too, boy.
From the very time I met Bill and, all the way through our friendship, we were always videotaping this or that or using Super 8 or 16 millimeter film.
Got it?
Now I want you to tell me about your wig. When you got it, you're going to get it fixed and everything.
Yeah, but I didn't get fixed yet.
Tell me when you got it and everything.
When I got it, it was fitting all right.
What?
The wig did, but it got loose. It didn't fit on right.
Barry had had a variety of people that were kind of odd that he would do things with. But this was different because Bill, first of all, he had this big bald head and this really strange look, and the way he talked. When you first hear Bill talk, you just, what?
I was laughing so much.
What was so funny?
I seen something funny.
What was it?
You know what it was?
What?
It was the monkeys. A couple of monkeys there. And I was laughing. You can't help it.
By the second or third time that I got to know him, and Barry was helping translate it, then I realized what a gem we had here.
Hey, he's getting cold, you know that? You should put that wig on. I should have it on.
Where'd you come from, anyway?
I used to be in Faribault a long time ago.
Why were you at Faribault?
What did I tell you? I didn't know I was there. I was there so many years I didn't know it.
Did they ever tell you why you were?
Well, I didn't see nothing.
There is only one existing photo of Bill from the institution, taken when he was just 25 years old. At that time in his life, there was a push to get Bill out of the institution and placed in the community. But the pleas went unanswered, and so he spent another 26 years in Faribault Institution.
He told me what he could about his life, that he'd been in some place that he doesn't like to talk about, but that he had a lucky piece, a $2 bill, at which he carried in his wallet, and he showed it to me. I think he attributed his getting out of the institution somehow to this lucky piece and the fact that he was a world-class harmonica player.
People, are really cruel, and they would, point at him and laugh at him and give him dirty looks.
You could always tell those that thought, who is this nut? Who is this? Hey, I don't want to have anything to do with you. And you know what? I could really differentiate between the people I wanted to be with and the ones I didn't want to be with. If they didn't like Bill, if they were upset by him or offended, well, go your way, see you. But the ones that really took on to Bill, those were the kind of people you'd want to meet. Those are the kind of people you'd want to have for friends, because you could tell that they knew how to connect.
Oh, here's one here, buddy. See, I know how to play that one.
Bill never had a business card, but he did have a harmonica. And it was his introduction to anybody he met where he would, launch into a polka.
Let's take the chair out, and can you do a little polka out here for me?
Yeah.
Bill would have it tucked in his pocket, and he could whip that out faster than a sharpshooter could, a fast draw. He'd have that harmonica out. Hey, you want to hear a song, buddy? And, before you could say no or excuse me, I'm on kidney dialysis, he'd pull that out and go. As Bill and my friendship developed, he came to trust me enough to confide in me about his whole thing with wigs. I discovered the central theme in his room was this wig stand, a styrofoam wig stand. He then demonstrated to me the proper technique of caring for a good wig, which was to take the top off of this wig spray and then empty virtually the entire contents of this wig spray onto the wig until it was glistening, wet with lacquer.
When he found out that I was a costumer, well, he was in hog heaven because he just I couldn't get him out of my room half the time. I'd be working on projects, and he would want to be in there trying on every different wigs, and I had some really god-awful wigs, let me tell you. I mean, afros, that was his favorite one, was the big afros that they wore in the 70s, and we'd have to go, no, Bill, you can't wear that one. That's not going to look right on you. It's not your color. We'd give him every kind of excuse in the world.
One day, Bill was very upset. He told me that his wig broke. It had, I guess, gotten so top-heavy, it tumbled off the styrofoam head onto the floor and cracked.
Where the tornado? This, of course, is where the action is, right here at the Shoulder Supper Club.
I was playing with the Tornadoes at the time, a nightclub band, and I played Monday through Saturday nights. And Monday night was a perfect night to bring Bill out. It wasn't too terribly crowded, and Bill could get lots of attention, and he could come up on stage.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, look out there. We've got Wild Bill with us. Bill, come on up here. They love you. And people would start clapping and applauding, and he'd get up there and smile and start stomping and playing.
Can we have some of you folks move so the camera could catch Bill here? We want him to be a celebrity here.
Bill talks about beer a lot, and believe me, he really didn't drink that much beer. I mean, you get the impression he was like drunk all the time. He liked to say the word beer. Hey, buddy, let's have a beer.
Beer's a beer, buddy. Just give me a good old beer.
Beer's a beer, buddy. Beer's a beer.
Beer's a beer, he'd say. He enjoyed having fun. And beer had nothing to do with it. It was just old Bill. He liked to be around people. He liked to be recognized, and he enjoyed entertaining people.
Now, when he gets down from the stage, he's a celebrity. And these girls start coming over to him. And, oh, you should have seen him glow when these girls would, give him a kiss on the cheek. He would just, fireworks went off. I mean, just the affection that this guy needed, that he was finally getting. It was just tremendous to see people just gravitate to him.
He loved to dance with the girls and be out on the dance floor and just be, stomping around.
We did a little rock and roll and shake the boogies, and we had fun. There's nice people there. They go up and dance and play the harmonica on the stage. It says, very good, Bill. Play some more.
All right. Then something happened that really threatened Bill. It was my telling him that I was about to have a baby. And because I was going to have a baby, I needed to get a real job, and I had made applications for some out-of-state institutions, like the University of Iowa was one. All of it had created fears in Bill's mind, I think, that we were going to love this baby and not him, and we were going to move, and his life was going to go back to what it was. And in some ways, he was right. I did get a job at the University of Iowa. My boss was a former teacher of mine, college professor named Tom Walls. And one day we found ourselves packing up and moving to Iowa City, Iowa, and Bill stayed behind. There wasn't anything I could do about it. He was a ward of the state at that time. And though I would have loved to have, brought him along, it was just not feasible.
About 6 months after his move to Iowa, Barry Morrow received a call from Bill's social worker in Minnesota saying they had found Bill unconscious on the side of the road. Apparently, he'd been walking into town and had passed out from the extreme pain he was experiencing from his ulcerated leg that had become infected.
They wanted to remove his leg. I guess what they wanted me to do was to explain that to Bill. But I met with the doctors and social workers, and I said, you know, if you take his leg off, he's not going to be able to work very well. And they said, no, he won't be able to work at all. He'll have to go back to the institution. I went in his room, and I said, Bill, you know, you knew how to take care of your leg, and now we're really in a jam. And I had been, you know, kind of rehearsing these lines. So now, in order to save your life, you know, we're going to have that leg removed. But these words came out instead. Bill, in order to save your life, you're going to have to move to Iowa City. And I don't remember really. All I remember next is picking up a payphone and calling Bev and asking her if the couch we have folds out into a bed. Because that was what we were now prepared to do, which is take Bill to Iowa and somehow try to keep his leg and keep him alive and keep him in the world.
In the fall of 1975, Barry began his new job as a multimedia specialist for the University of Iowa School of Social Work in Iowa City. The director of the School of Social Work, Tom Walls, had hired Barry for his talents and creativity and knew of Barry's need to create a new life and work situation for Bill. With a bit of ingenuity, Tom Walls was able to secure a qualified position for Bill at the School of Social Work by listing Bill as a developmental disabilities consultant with 44 years of experience.
You know, we had just moved into a new building, and one of my dreams in the new building was to maintain the character of the building. It was an old, beautiful old building, and I thought, well, gosh, Bill can help us. We need somebody to help sand and this sort of thing. Well, lo and behold, he's always willing, but not always able to do it. He'd get lost in conversation. That sander would never move. It'd just go through a piece of plywood and you'd have this big white spot showing through. He just was too darn friendly, you know. He was he should have been a bartender, you know, so being an entrepreneur of a little coffee shop was the next best thing we could find, giving him a forum for his chattiness and love of people.
There's a big coffee down there in a coffee shop, and the people said they make good coffee. So thank you very much, and amen.
Then when you're all ready to go, he'd go over to his cash register, which was this old vintage Victorian-era cash register, and he would hit random keys because Bill couldn't, you know, read or write or do arithmetic, so he would punch several keys, and a cup of coffee could theoretically end up costing you anywhere between 5 cents and $412. And we had a Name That Coffee Shop contest. There was a big party and a dance, and the winning name was Wild Bill's Coffee Shop. One of the students got, I think, free coffee for a month for that.
After looking through Bill's records and learning that his parents were Jewish, Barry asked Bill if he would like to explore his religious heritage further. Bill was interested. So Barry introduced him to a local rabbi, Jeff Portman.
You know, it took a few minutes for anybody who first met Bill to realize he had a disability, because actually when people first came to the synagogue, they thought he was the rabbi.
Bill loved going to the Catholic Church, the Protestant Church, or the synagogue. He liked them all.
Yeah, he went to a Baptist church every Sunday with his landlady. He was sort of an equal employment opportunity religion person. He went wherever he was, wherever he wanted to go.
And it never occurred to him that you can't, love God from different points of view.
I sure thank him to give me a good life. I go to him every night. I never miss the Lord, He knows I go, he listens to you. He listens to you. He's the Holy Spirit, and amen.
Bill was very excited about the idea that he was going to have a bar mitzvah. Now, the fact that, he wasn't 13 years old, but rather 66, I believe, didn't faze him at all. He would go to Hebrew school and study right along with the other young boys, and, had special tutoring from Rabbi Portman.
But his bar mitzvah was absolutely beautiful. It was very spiritual, very personal. We stood, I remember, the four of us, the two guitarists, and then Bill in the middle, and Jeff kind of in a little square formation in the middle of the Hillel house.
When all the people came down from Minnesota and all his friends and the band and the music, it was like no other bar mitzvah.
He would say some prayers in his own language. So it wasn't Hebrew, wasn't English. It was Bill's special language. And in lieu of a speech, he played his harmonica.
We were worried that Bill would say something about Jesus when he was going through the Torah, because we didn't know if he could distinguish between the Jewish religion and the Christian religion. But again, he's just so amazing, the way he knew when he should present his Jewish self and when he should present his Christian self.
There in the front row sat three nuns in full habit from Tom's Catholic Church, and May's Baptist minister was also there.
He just did really well. He just did perfect. We were so proud of him. We were just like his parents watching it, and then they had a wonderful party afterward.
There was a preschool in the same building as Wild Bill's coffee shop, and during the day, Bill could frequently be found playing harmonica for the children.
The preschoolers became a subject of great interest to Bill. He loved children.
The children took to him immediately, and the parents eventually came around too. It just took them a little longer to appreciate who he was.
Anyone who knew Bill knew that this beautiful innocence, this beautiful caringness was what the children saw and loved, and they would just follow him around.
There's so many kids right now in this world that are hurting for somebody to make them smile. I tell you what, old Bill, he made a lot of kids smile, I tell you.
One day I was at work and I got a call from Bev, my wife, who said that our daughter Zoe, who was just 1 year old, was very listless and just didn't seem right. We raced over to Mercy Hospital, and there was 3 doctors there waiting for us. They brought Zoe in and immediately checked her for, did a spinal tap and checked her for spinal meningitis. She was a very sick girl. And, within an hour, she was upstairs in intensive care. All her hair shaved and tubes everywhere. And she was in a coma. It happened like that. So we kept the vigil next to our daughter's hospital bed for about 48 hours. At the front desk, they've been getting persistent messages from this man who's waiting down there to see his granddaughter. And it was Bill claiming to be Zoe's grandfather. And when I finally realized, what was going on, I asked for them to bring him up. And I remember what he said. He said, "You should have called me first." Then he looked over at this wall of monitors and beepers and life support system, and then little Zoe in the bed with her head shaved, and he fell to his knees, and he took off his wig, and then he continued with the prayer.
Our Father, that will be thine need, thy kingdom, and to give us the trespasses against us, and give us on earth as in heaven. Oh, blessed Lord, grant mercy to come to me and help me, Lord, and mercy. We'd like to thank you for the blessings you did for us today, my wonderful Savior. Amen.
I said, thanks for coming, Bill, and I'm sure, God heard your prayer, and he said, sure he does, buddy. He hears everybody's prayers. And we pressed the elevator button. The doors open. Bill got on, gave me a little wave. The doors closed, and as soon as they closed, I heard this shriek from down the hallway. And it was a nurse or Bev or somebody, and I ran thinking the worst. And when I got in the room, she was awake. She was out of her coma. And, Bill, Bill credited his prayer with bringing her back. And I don't really have any reason to dispute that.
I think his voice is probably one of my strongest memories. But then again, my dad has been doing Bill impersonations, and I think pretty well for my entire life.
I tried a lot in the beginning to see what Bill could do. And so he did a lot of drawings with the kids.
We would color together. We have lots of Bill's drawings, and ours were better than his when we were.
Yeah.
He had the little round ball with.
Made us feel pretty good.
He did the same thing, a little happy face with kind of arms coming out.
That's all. Salute to the camera. Everybody wave goodbye. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye, Zoe.
Bye, Zoe.
Bye.
Encouraged by students at the university, Barry sat down to write what he knew of Bill's life and struggles, and after several days, he completed Bill's Triumph, a story that would soon gain widespread recognition.
Bill loved the attention he was starting to get, and he loved getting awards. One very memorable night was in Des Moines, Iowa, when he was presented with the Handicapped Iowan of the Year award by the then Governor Robert Ray.
Are you excited about tonight, Bill?
Well, I am a little excited about it, but I'm glad I'm going to meet the Governor Ray. I'd like to meet him.
This next award is for Handicapped Iowan of the Year. Bill Sackter spent 44 years of his life in an institution when he met a young college student, Barry Morrow, who became his friend and later, after overcoming excessive red tape, his guardian. Bill does not talk much about his past. He just says, let's forget it, and I'm as good as downtown now. Bill is perhaps a shining example for all of us, and truly earned the award and recognition he's being given here tonight. So, Bill?
God bless everybody. Thank you very much for coming here. I really appreciate that. Really good award for us, everybody. Thank you very much. Please clap when I play it.
Well, I was down in Iowa in my Donny's car to see Bill and the governor. He gave him a heavy plaque so the history of Bill wouldn't lose track. Oh, he said, how boring today. Everybody clapping. What can I say? And now he's tired and he needs a beer. Oh, I'm gonna get out of here.
You want a beer, Bill?
Yep, sure.
He's going to go down and get one?
Rock and roll.
Okay. Say the word.
Beer.
Oh.
Beer.
Beer.
Beer. Beer. Beer. Beer. Everyone, let's go get a beer. Beer. Where's my whistle? Beer. Beer. Come on, beer. Beer. Get him, Bill. There we go.
In recognition of Bill's award, the story of Bill's triumph was printed in its entirety in the Des Moines Register. His life story would now become known to thousands of readers across the state. One of them was a professional wig maker.
I saw a picture in the paper of a man with a very bad woman's wig on. And I called Tom Walsh in Iowa City and found out who he was and where he was, and Tom brought him in here, and he was just a delight. He was a sweet man, and he wanted to have good hair.
Kids got to see you with your hair on too, even though this is the old hair.
Yeah.
So got you all fixed up here anyway. We'll turn you around here and let them look at you and see what you look like. Goodness sakes. We're going to get a new one for you today, Bill. This one here is...
You keep this one here and you send this one here to me.
Yeah, I'll send that one back to you here.
I had made a synthetic wig, and it's a cap-type wig, and he had a wefted wig, which, wasn't natural. This is like his own hair.
Here you go, Bill. You got to stand in the doorway and show the kids your new hair.
Yeah.
How about that?
I'd love to see that. God bless them little
How about that, huh?
Sure. They'd be glad to see that, won't they?
Tom told me not to give him any hairspray because he had a tendency to put too much of that on. So we spent some time with him and told him not to use a lot of hairspray. In fact, I think I took a bottle of spray and put water in it so it wouldn't do anything but get it wet.
It was a beautiful summer night. The stars were out. And out of nowhere, out of our silence, because Bill and I were just enjoying the evening, he said, "Buddy, do you want to know about the wig now?" He said, "Why I got to wear it?" I said, "I've always wondered." He said, well, so one night back in that place, I used to take care of this kid. He was epileptic. He had seizures, see, and it was my job to give him a bath. And so one night I'm giving him a bath, and he had a seizure. He had a fit right there in the tub. And he was kind of a big kid, and he was splashing around, so I went to get the aide. And the aide, he was the mean aide, see? And he said, Bill, don't bother me. I told you to never bother me. And I shouldn't have done it, but I kind of grabbed him by the shirt there, buddy, and that's when he turned and flung me right down the stairs, but he grabbed onto my hair, and he didn't let go. And he came out right in his hands like that. And then when they took the bandages off, the hair was gone, see. And they took a lot of things, but they should never take a regular good man's hair.
Very quickly, Bill's life and struggles spread from a local story to national awareness. And one day, Barry received a call from the White House.
And they told me that Bill was now one of 5 finalists for Handicapped American, and wanted Bill and I to come to Washington and meet the president.
That's the first time I've ever owned an airplane. It's pretty, the clouds and all that. You lean back and see out the window, see the little houses and birds. It looks like the houses were small. People come over and give me a little drink, and I told them thank you very much for joining.
As we walked around Washington, D.C. that day, limos going everywhere, there were a lot of tourists trying to take photographs of famous people as they would go by. And Bill and I were in one such car when it passed a group of bystanders, and immediately all their cameras went up. And I looked at Bill, and I realized there he is in this blue pinstripe suit. His beard is nicely, trimmed. He looks for all the world like, the ambassador from the Soviet Union. And Bill kind of waved a very, dignified wave to these people, and they all took pictures of him. All Bill could envision was a house that was white, and so, of course, on the way there, he kept asking if this was it, if this was it. I said, no, it's a really big white house. You won't mistake it when you see it. And we were greeted inside by Rosalind Carter, the First Lady. And she said, hello, Bill, welcome to the White House. And Bill just put on this sort of southern charm of his own. And then he played his harmonica for her. And then he told her she was pretty. And it sort of stopped her in her tracks.
Sure happy to see things that I've never seen before.
Bill, nice to see you again. How's your trip been?
Oh, fine.
That's great. Jack getting you around all right?
Oh, he getting me around.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, he getting me around.
Well, it's nice to see you again after we saw each other. Did you?
Yeah, we had a nice time there.
You bet. Can we get you?
I got my harmonica there.
Wonderful. Sit in the Vice President's chair. That's Mondale's chair. Yeah, he's the Vice President.
He's an old Minnesota boy too, Bill.
Yeah.
Put this over here.
Yeah, we'll just make you Vice President for a day, Bill. How's that, Bill?
Tom Walls suggested to Barry that it would be a great idea if he would take all the photos, film, and video footage he had shot of Bill and create a documentary. Barry agreed with the idea, and after putting together a short demo, he approached the University of Iowa Foundation, where he was allowed to make his pitch for the documentary to their board members in the spring of 1978.
I did my 15-minute, dog and pony show with slides and music and all of that. And at the end, two of them came up to me and said, we want to help. What I heard next was they wanted to bypass the documentary altogether and do a based on real-life drama. The day when I found out who they had in mind to cast for the part of Bill, and I told Bill, when I dropped him off at his house, he was so excited. He got inside and I could hear him say, "Guess what, everybody? I'm going to be Mickey Rooney."
Tell me about Mickey Rooney.
Oh, Mickey Rooney, he's great. No, he pleases the Lord too. Oh, he calls me his buddy, and he writes to me. Oh, he's a great one, boy. He's pretty good.
Dennis Quaid, the actor, was chosen to play me, and Tom Walsh and Bev and everybody had my parents, everybody had their counterparts.
On December 3rd, 1981, the world premiere of the television drama Bill was held to a capacity crowd at Iowa City's main entertainment venue, Hancher Auditorium.
The premiere of the movie Bill in Iowa City was absolutely fabulous.
It's not every day you can watch a movie about one of your own, and hundreds of folks came to Hancher Auditorium in Iowa City to do just that. These people are here to see a special movie about a special Iowa Cityan. His name is Bill Sackter. So they came to be with Bill, who arrived around 7:15. Bill Sackter, with the help of Barry Morrow, works on campus of the University of Iowa at Wild Bill's Coffee Shop. The movie is about how Bill left the state mental institution in Faribault, Minnesota, where he lived for 44 years, eventually to live a better life with all his friends in Iowa City. Mickey Rooney portrayed Bill Sackter.
It was basically a mob of people in flash bulbs, and it was dreamlike. I mean, here was Bill. He really should have ended up probably in the gutter somewhere. And, it took a lot of people and a lot of luck. But he ends up at the world premiere of his life story. And more than that, his story had a profound impact on a generation of television viewers. I mean, it presented for the first time, maybe ever, a sympathetic role of a person with mental retardation that was triumphant.
One would think that there's some sort of abrupt change that takes place, when this movie about his life is so incredibly well received, and, the next morning he's a celebrity. Bill is still Bill. And he never made the connection that, all this attention he was receiving had something to do with himself and his life. He intellectually didn't understand that, but he loved the fact that it had happened.
All across the country, Bill was asked to come play his harmonica, just, join with other people and be Bill. And be the living symbol of somebody who made it.
On TV.
Wait. Cookie crumb. Cookie crumbs. Get crumbs on my cookies.
This is like a talk radio show.
Talk radio show.
I'll interview you.
I've got a good life, and I'm really happy. Good to see good friends, and the good Lord give me a good life. I'm happy. Not to worry about anything. I had a tough life before, now I got a good life. Very nice. Thank you very much, everybody. It's nice to see you.
Well, that concludes our show. I have to ask some questions.
Yeah.
How are you? Very good. How are you? Good to see you.
I started to realize that Bill was really a big leader in a movement, unbeknownst to him, of normalizing people's reactions to people with disabilities, whether it was mental or physical, that, these people are part of our society, and we need them as much as they need us.
And the hope you give your fellow man, I thank you and God bless you. President Ronald Reagan and First Lady Nancy Reagan.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's good to see you all. And God bless everybody.
The Bill television movie was a major hit across the nation and was nominated for many awards, including 3 Emmys and a People's Choice Award. When Mickey Rooney received a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actor, he was unable to attend due to a Broadway engagement, so he sent Bill, Barry, and Bev in his place.
When we were at the Golden Globes, and we're waiting to find out if we won or not, and the producers did not want Bill to go up and play his harmonica. They just didn't want him to do that. And we thought, to us, it was like, well, that's one of the things that Bill can do.
Reluctantly, Bill turned over his harmonica. I gave it to Bev. She put it in her purse. And sure enough, in that category, they read the name and said,
The winner is Mickey Rooney.
And Bill just went tromping right up there. He was on that stage just in a flash.
I'm sure there's 2 people he would like to thank most of all, and that is Barry Morrow, who also had to do with the writing of the picture, and the real Bill Sackter, whose courage and inspiration and love, simple love, made all this possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
and then he reaches into his breast pocket and pulls out his secret mini harmonica, which I didn't know he had with him.
We send this to you, Mickey Rooney, with love from both of us.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I guess that'll be all for today. Then we'll go.
If you see pictures of Bill when we first met him, compared to the distinguished, I think, gentleman in the end, there's quite a difference.
When they would dress him up in a suit, and, they'd really, trim him up nice and put on that cologne and stuff and get some nice shoes on him, Bill looked like $1 million. Or like he said, I feel like 2 cents, buddy. I feel like 2 cents.
No, I sing
you
first,
sing it.
then you repeat after
Yeah,
me.
okay. Yeah.
Oh, lutefisk, how fragrant your aroma.
Oh, lutefisk, I freely aroma.
Oh, lutefisk, you put me in a coma.
You put me in the coma.
You smell so strong.
You smell so strong.
You look like glue.
You look like glue.
You taste just like an overshoe.
You taste like an old overshoe.
But lutefisk comes Saturday.
Lutefisk comes Saturday.
I think I'll eat you anyway.
I think I'll eat you anyway.
I sat down with Bill and I told him that I thought it was time for me to go to Hollywood and try and make a career. And, we were going to trade on the success of Bill, and there was a sequel planned, and this was kind of my opportunity. And I said, would you like to go with us? And he thought about it. And then he said, you know what, buddy, I'll miss you. But I got a lot of friends here, and I got a job, and I got a good home. And he said, well, you know what, I got something for you. And he reached into his wallet, and he took out his lucky piece, his $2 bill, the one he'd been carrying with him all these years. And he handed it to me, and he said, buddy, if you're going to California, you're going to need this more than me. Bill came down to Texas while we were shooting the sequel, Bill on His Own, and this time he was the star on the set right alongside of Mickey Rooney. In fact, they had a director's chair that Mickey insisted be right next to his own. And then he went home, and he was really at the height of his fame and popularity. I mean, families were vacationing, and on their way through Iowa would find their way to Iowa City to see Bill's coffee shop and to meet the real Bill. And then one day he didn't come in for work. And it was the only day that he'd ever missed work. I got the phone call from Tom Walsh. He said Bill had passed away in his sleep.
It was real serious, and Dad was crying, and
I remember a neighbor asked, because the whole family was visually distraught. They said, what's wrong? I think we just said our grandpa died.
He died without having to end up in a nursing home or anything of that nature. He was in reasonably good health up until the point of his death.
Bill Sackter died in his sleep on Thursday, June 16th, 1983. The funeral service was held 2 days later at a Gudas Achim synagogue.
350 people showed up, television cameras everywhere. It just was an incredible moment, a very spiritual moment.
I had no idea that many people were there, and I think they even lowered the flags in the town that day, and it was very emotional.
Dear friends, when the flags over Iowa City flew at half-staff this week, it wasn't for president or statesman or a fallen soldier. It was for a man who made coffee. If anyone deserved such a tribute, it was Bill Sackter. You know, Bill started off really without a friend in the world, and he ended up being everybody's buddy. I'd like to play Bill's favorite song in memory of him. Goodbye, buddy. I miss you.
Then, we went from the church to the gravesite, and it was just a very, you know, like the end of a we really loved him.
That's what Bill ultimately has left us, is a whole new way of looking at life and people who fall short in one area or another. That they're not less than us, they're simply different from us, and in many ways, if you look close enough, are as gifted or even more so than us.
You have some words about what it's like to live for 70 years?
Yeah.
Let's hear them.
I got a good life, and the Lord gave me a good life. I got so many friends, I just can't count them all. And the good Lord gave me nice friends in this world. We all love them all. And God bless everybody. We all love you all. The Lord loves you. Thank you very much.
About a year after Bill died, I had a dream about him. And he was at our house in Claremont. He had come to visit. And he was standing in the hallway. And I turned and looked at him, and there's a picture we have of Bill, what he looked like when he was maybe 25 years old. And he looks very normal and actually good looking and, strong and healthy. And in the dream, Bill is standing in the doorway and he's leaning against the door, and I look at him and I say, "Bill." And he said, "Hi, honey." And I said, you look wonderful." And he said, "Yeah, it's really great here."
He was a little man who made coffee, and he played the harmonica. And that was enough.
It's good to have friends. Friends in need.
Funding for this program was provided by the following. The full 90-minute theatrical version of A Friend Indeed, the Bill Sackter story, with over 2 hours of additional bonus material, is available on DVD at www.billsackter.com.